Hi, it's Joe Morgan with the Tech Leader Spotlight podcast, where we interview tech leaders to learn about their journey and leadership lessons learned along the way. This show is brought to you by the Tech Professional Money Operating System, where we help tech professionals who know they're doing well financially, but aren't certain if it's enough and want to make sure that they're getting everything they can out of their finances. We help you invest cash wisely, make the most of stock awards, and minimize your tax bill. And we do all of this to provide clarity and confidence so that you can spend less time thinking about your money and more time living the life you want. If you'd like more information from me, look me up on LinkedIn. That's Joe Morgan at Best Financial Life. Today, I'm very happy to have with us Nivetha Thiruverahan, who is a senior software engineer at Google and is an experienced leader who specializes in Android safety features such as earthquake alerts and car crash detection. Welcome to the podcast, Nivetha.
Thank you, Joe. Happy to be here.
Great. So that's really interesting. So you focus on safety features such as earthquake alerts and car crash detection. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Android has a suite of safety features. Two of those that I mainly work on are the earthquake alerts and the car crash detection. So all of the phones have a tiny accelerometer in them that is capable of detecting vibrations, shaking. So we crowdsource that information in the case of earthquake alerts to back to the server to figure out if there's a pattern that is similar to an earthquake. Many countries around the world do not have a great public infra around earthquake alerting. So what we've done is convert billions of Android phones into this crowdsourced global network of seismometers, and we're able to send out earthquake early warnings to people to then take action to save their lives in case of an earthquake.
Wow, that's fantastic. And do people have to opt into this, or is this just part of what's built into Android phones?
It is by default on, so it's built into the phone and available to everyone around the globe.
That's terrific. That's so awesome. And so what are you doing specifically with that? Like, are you maintaining that functionality? Did you help create it? What's your connection?
I work on a lot of things from the server backend to the actual client on the phone. So pretty much software engineering end to end the product, along with, of course, a team of other brilliant engineers in Google.
Of course. Great. Well, let's dive into our questions. Our first question, as always on the podcast, is what does leadership in the tech space mean to you?
Sure, that's a great question. I think leadership in the tech space means two things. One is to thrive in ambiguity and take initiatives, and the second is to enable others. So, to expand on the first one, when you grow as a leader at some point, there is no script, there's no one telling you what to do. So, it's really up to you to figure out what's the right thing and the best thing to do for the user, the product, the company, and to share your ideas and just get going and take initiatives to get things done. So I think that's really important to come up with innovative products and help users out there. And the second thing, which I really admire in leaders that I've enjoyed working with, is that they're enablers of others. So they would give you projects, let you take ownership, and let you run with it by taking independent decisions. And that way they're making you into a leader. So I think that those kind of people leaders are also really important in an organization.
That's great. You mentioned two things I don't think have come up on the podcast before. Thriving in ambiguity, specifically, like nobody tells you how to do this thing called leadership. Really, I mean, there's different, podcasts, ways you can learn, but nobody's going to sit you down and tell you how to do it. So thriving in that sort of environment and then also helping make other leaders. I don't think we've heard that before either. Both of those things are really fascinating. What's your experience been in those? Have you had a lot of experience with both of those, it sounds like?
Sure, yeah. I think the first one, in Google especially, as you grow across the ladder, there is less like hand holding and people telling you what to do. And I think a lot of the innovation also comes from the fact that you are given the freedom to just run with your ideas and see what works. And the second thing also, I've had some really great mentors, directors on my team who are just like people who don't micromanage you they let you go with your ideas and just like give you full autonomy, which helps you grow in your career, professionally and personally.
Now, that's really important. I think that's really good. But how do, as a leader, if you have a team member who you've let go a direction, how do you like check in on them, or how do you know when to check the progress and make adjustments, or how do you really do that? Is that still like by feel, and is that part of that working in
Mhm.
ambiguity?
Yeah, when I say you're let to run with the idea, I don't mean like you go waywards with it, but they're always watching from the sideline. You just have autonomy to make the best decision for that product because everyone is expected to be googly in the sense that you are not doing something evil, you're doing the right things. Everyone has best intentions, so I think everybody around you believes in the fact that you have the best intentions, and of course you always like share updates and like on how things are going, and if there's something wrong they're going to obviously pull you back, but then I think everyone in Google and has these best intentions, and people are trusted to be taking things in the right direction.
Yeah, it's great that Google has that culture of best intentions because that allows a lot of freedom to occur. Not every
Mhm.
company has that culture out there, but when you work in a space that's like that, I can certainly see a leader giving a lot more freedom to somebody. Of course, you're still understanding what's going on and following along, but
Hmm. Of
yeah,
course, yeah.
that's terrific. Well, there's a lot of challenges on the job market today, as we see kind of in the news almost every day, layoffs and other things going on in terms of like hiring being pulled back, that sort of thing. So, what piece of advice would you recommend to create resiliency in the case of layoffs?
You're right. This is a very real scenario that could happen to anyone out there. And I think back in 2023, when these layoffs started happening across companies, I started thinking about it, and my husband and I started like working through scenarios of what if one of us were to lose our job, what if both of us were to lose our job, we have a mortgage to pay and we have like certain monthly expenses to maintain a quality of life. So we sat down and we looked at our expenses and came up with a number of like what we would need to weather say 6 months or 1 year of should we get laid off, and we set out a goal to build that reserve into a savings account. So usually we would invest anything we save into other forms of investments. Instead, we were just set on saving that into a savings account so that it's stable and available. So what that kind of emergency reserve fund gave us is the financial freedom that if we were to face a layoff, then we can just think about what we want to do next, rather than just like panic applying to all sorts of opportunities, whether they may be a good fit or not. Um, Now, I do want to be mindful of people who are on visas in the US, and I am on a visa too, where you don't have a time on your side in terms of finding the next opportunity. But if you can, even in that case, I would recommend focusing on quality over quantity in terms of like looking for the next opportunity and see what would work best for you. So this kind of emergency reserve, I think, helps with that.
Yeah, that's such a great tip. We talk about in the financial world, we talk about having an emergency fund, but it all comes down to, in every client conversation I've had on this topic, it's, well, what's an emergency? Well,
Mhm.
obviously it's losing the job. Okay, well, how long would it take you to find another job? I don't know, 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever it is. Okay, well, let's take that number of living expenses and let's keep that safe. And
Mhm.
what that does for the benefit of the people who haven't been through this or haven't thought through this is when you get laid off, I've been laid off in the past. When you get laid off, your mind just spins, right? So
Mhm.
many different questions, so many things. And this takes one of the big topics out of that hurricane that's going on in your mind. You don't have to worry about finances for a while because you know you've got the next 6 months or a year set
Mhm.
up. And it really helps you make, it's not only helps you, meet your expenses, but it also helps you make practical, good decisions in that very, very important time of transition. So I'm glad you talked about it that
Yeah, I
way.
agree. Yeah. Sounds like I'm doing the right thing, given that you're an expert in the financial
Yeah,
space.
no, it checks a lot of boxes for sure. And it's one of those things also that's hard to do because you feel like it's a waste to have the money just sitting there. But I'll just throw this in too. Every dollar that you have should have a job, and the job of
Hmm.
your emergency fund is simply to be there. It's not to
Hmm.
grow. It's not to, take risk. It's yes, you want to earn a little bit on it, but it shouldn't be a lot of money compared to your total net worth, and because it's only 6 months or a year of expenses. But it needs to be available so that you can have the mental space to make good decisions. So you can make much bigger dollars, and that's really the
Hmm.
return on that money.
Oh, great. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks so much for talking about it in that way. Give me an opportunity to talk, so I appreciate it.
Hmm.
Here's our third question. What's the most important financial decision that you've made in your tech career, whether it's about compensation or taking a particular job or a role? What's the most important financial decision you've made?
Yeah, I think the most important financial decision I made, and something that I didn't make early in my career, but it would recommend others to make, is to max out the 401k. And if your employer is contributing to match with your contributions, that's basically free money. So please take that money. Don't leave that money on the table. And also, like, log into your 401k account and see where that money is invested. So I think I just let it sit there for like a year or two before realizing that it was invested in a low yield bond.
Hmm.
And when you're young, you really can be a bit more aggressive than that. So I went and shifted that into like S&P 500 index fund, because when you're young, you have time on your side. You don't need that money immediately. So you can just um, wade through any of the volatile markets. And over time, over the next 30 or 40 years, it's just going to keep compounding. So I think, yeah, that is an important tip that I learned a few years later, that I wish I had known early on in my career.
That's great. So max out the 401k, definitely get the match, but max it out and also be sure that you're invested in something that's appropriate risk because, and that's an important thing too. A lot of people don't know this, but a company that provides a 401k, they're required to provide some sort of vetted investment options that they've looked at and said, okay, these are good, but they're not required to automatically place the funds in something that's right for you. And so the default option is usually the safest, most risk
Mhm.
averse option, which when you're young is probably not the best option. So
Mhm.
that's another good tip. Well, thanks again for joining us on the podcast, Nivetha. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness and your ideas. You've given us a lot to think about.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. And I also enjoyed this conversation and learning some tips from you as well.
Terrific. So just as a reminder, this is sponsored by the Money Operating System, where tech leaders gain clarity and control of their finances so they can live out the rest of their life with intention. If you want to know more about us, look me up on LinkedIn. That's Joe Morgan, Best Financial Life.